Well, it's been a while since I've used this thing, so I better cast some magic spells to see if my magical abilities are still intact. Accio Water! What the hell? Oh my god, it worked! Let's see, what else can I do? Accio Hot Chick. Accio Hot Chick. Come on. Accio Hot Chick. Did you just fire back at me? Accio Hot Chick. What is up, everybody? Random Man here. Now with my videos being shot on the new iPhone XR. Yes, I got a new phone. If you've seen my videos from late 2014 all the way up to my previous review for Bohemian Rhapsody, then you would have seen that I shot my reviews using an iPhone 6. Now, that's a long while that I've been using this device, so thanks for the memories, iPhone 6. Now I have upgraded to an iPhone XR, yet my videos are going to be still in the similar format that I have used for a while now as well. But you are not watching this video to find out about my slight technological advances. No, you are watching this video because you want to see me bring you my review for Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald. By the way, there will be no spoilers in this review. You're all safe. I am going to hashtag protect the secrets as this movie's marketing campaign has promoted us all to do, as I want to give any fan watching this video an equal opportunity to go into this film without having it spoiled. Based on the characters created by J.K. Rowling, the plot basically follows Newt Scamander, played by Eddie Redmayne, who attempts to take down the dark wizard Gellert Grindelwald, played by Johnny Depp, while facing new threats in a divided wizarding world. Going into this movie, I was super excited to see it. If you couldn't already tell, I am a massive fan of the Harry Potter universe / wizarding world. I am wearing some Gryffindor stuff right now, but I am actually a Ravenclaw, according to my results from the Pottermore sorting hat test. So yeah, Ravenclaw and proud. I have been so immersed into this franchise ever since I was 4 years old. I've enjoyed the books dearly. I've also been so into the movies. They range from either being very good to flat out amazing. I don't think there is a bad apple in that bunch of films. So when it was announced that a series of prequel films were going to be made, taking place decades before the character of Harry Potter was even born, I of course got hooked. So when it comes to the first of these films, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, I really enjoyed this movie. I thought it was a nice starting point of what could happen next in this series of films that, again, takes place before all the other Harry Potter movies. So with The Crimes of Grindelwald, we have J.K. Rowling, the author of the Harry Potter books, returning to screenwrite this film as she wrote the screenplay for the first Fantastic Beasts film. And David Yates also returns to direct in this franchise. He previously directed the final 4 Harry Potter films and this first Fantastic Beasts film. So I was just so looking forward to this story progressing. Starting out with the cast and their performances, we have some players from the first film returning in this sequel to the prequel. We have Eddie Redmayne, of course, as Newt Scamander. I really dug him in the first film. He had some awkwardness to his personality, but he was also so lovable in that he cared for all the fantastic beasts and other creatures out there in the wizarding world. For that, I thought he did a stellar job here again. We also have Katherine Waterston returning as Tina Goldstein, the unlikely partner to Newt Scamander in the first film, who has quite a bit of prominence with him again in this sequel. And I love the camaraderie and the back and forth that these two have with each other. And with Waterston, I thought she gave another strong performance. Dan Fogler also returns as Jacob Kowalski, the no-mage / non-magical person / muggle of these films. Now, if you remember what happened in the first film, one would wonder, why would he come back here? Well, it's explained, and with Dan Fogler's performance, I wasn't really a huge fan of this actor before he took on this role, but I so enjoyed him in the first film, and I also enjoyed him here again. This also applies to Alison Sudol as Queenie Goldstein, the sister to Tina, who can read minds, and she was my favorite character in the first Fantastic Beasts film. She reminded me of Marilyn Monroe with her ditzy personality, also just with her being lovable as well. The romance between her and Vogler's Kowalski I thought was so adorable. There's not that much of that here in this second film, but the screen time that they do have together does have some moments, and I thought Sudol was very good with her performance again. There's Ezra Miller also returning as Credence. Now, if you also remember what happened to him in the first film, one would wonder how he would come back. Well, like with Vogler returning, he also gets an explanation to why he is returning. And here, I thought he did a fine job. He gets a lot more to do this time around compared to the first film. And it's especially notable considering that he is the person that is the main point of interest in this film. There's also Zoe Kravitz as Lita Lestrange. She was first seen in a photograph in the previous Fantastic Beasts film, but now has a full-on supporting role here. She was a previous love interest to Newt Scamander and is now engaged to his brother, Theseus, which, speaking of Theseus, he shows up here played by Callum Turner. I thought Kravitz and Turner both did some strong jobs playing their respective characters. There's also Claudia Kim as Nagini. Now, that name should sound familiar to any Harry Potter fan out there, as Nagini is the snake to Lord Voldemort. And one would think, is she an animagus? And no, that is not the case. She is a maledictus, which means that she is going to eventually become the thing that she's able to transform into. So with her performance here, she had quite a bit to do, and I thought she did a nice job. There's William Nadilam as Yusuf Kama. He is a French Senegalese wizard who has been looking for Credence this whole time, and he has quite a bit to do as well, and I thought he did a good job for what he had to do. There's also the final two big players in this film. There's Jude Law as a young Albus Dumbledore. Now, when he was announced to be playing this character, I got so excited, obviously, because, hey, Dumbledore is coming back to this franchise when he is younger, but that Jude Law is playing him, as that is such a perfect and inspired choice to play this character. He has quite a bit of turmoil within him with his past relationship with Grindelwald, and he doesn't have as much to do as the other major players in this film. I wish he had more screen time, but the screen time we got with Law as Dumbledore was so great. And speaking of Grindelwald, played by Johnny Depp. Now, there's quite a bit of backlash against Johnny Depp playing Grindelwald with stuff in his personal life. Personally, I like him as an actor, and here as Grindelwald, I thought he was more subtle than he usually is in other movies, as he's in like ridiculous, outlandish, showy roles in other films, but here he has a bit of a reserved kind of cold, calculating demeanor to him, and his explanation as to why muggles/no magics are inferior does make him quite menacing, and you get to see where he is coming from. So overall, with the performances here, I think every player here does a competent job. The writing in this film, again, is done by J.K. Rowling, who previously penned the first Fantastic Beasts film, and what she does in bringing in the title villain of Grindelwald into this main storyline now creates for a lot of promise with what he has to do, as he is basically Voldemort before Voldemort terrorized Harry and his story as that transpired. And as the Crimes of Grindelwald does begin, we see Grindelwald being transported from the American Ministry of Magic, and as he's being transported from there, he escapes. That, I thought, made for a really riveting opening action sequence, and that definitely got me suckered into the movie right away. And then we are reintroduced to Newt Scamander and some other returning players from the first film, and there's quite a bit of plot threads that do involve characters here and there. And it does create for a lot of content that this movie has to offer, but at the same time, that is where one notable issue of this movie lied for me when it comes to the writing. where there is a lot going on, but it also becomes overstuffed. To compare it to the first Fantastic Beasts film, one of the few issues I had with it was that at times it felt like the movie wasn't going anywhere, and when the final third act of the movie happened and we saw a huge connection and set up to what this movie would transpire to, yeah, it took me out of it a little bit, but really, I think those are some minor quibbles in an otherwise strong movie. With The Crimes of Grindelwald, it's almost the opposite in that so much is going on throughout it that it becomes overstuffed and crammed with a bunch of exposition that didn't feel like a lot of progress was being made. Granted, some of the characters in this movie do have some more development, and there are attempts to have them be more fleshed out and have inner conflicts within them, but at the same time, there's also the matter of a lot of what does happen in this movie feeling like filler and not enough progression happening in terms of the timeline of this story. It also made it run at a meandering pace at times where it did feel like some stuff was just dragged out for the sake of being dragged out in this movie's 2 hour and 15-minute runtime. And even though this movie ran that long, again, so much is going on together that it's a little difficult to keep up with altogether if you're not laser focused within the movie's narrative and what is being presented on screen. It's ironically baffling that the same woman who created this Wizarding World universe on paper with the first 7 Harry Potter books has written a screenplay that is so scatterbrained and uneven that it kind of clashes with the directing at times. David Yates, I thought, did a very good job directing this film and having to keep the focus at hand with the script that he was given to direct. And it goes in the way of the action. I thought the action was quite exciting at times, which does go into the opening sequence again, but also the final third act, which is visually stunning. And speaking of some more of the technical elements, this movie is a feast for the eyes, just like a bunch of the past entries in the Wizarding World film franchise. When it comes to the special effects, the costume design, the first Fantastic Beasts film actually won the Oscar for Best Costume Design, and Colleen Atwood, the costume designer returning for this film, I think did as impressive of a job creating some really authentic looking costumes to the late 1920s. And then there's also the production design, for which the previous movie also got nominated for an Oscar for. The locations we are taken to range from New York in the USA, London in England, and Paris, France, and just the way the late 1920s looks within these 3 cities, it looks authentic to how they were in real life, and it goes hand in hand with the costumes and all around the other visuals of this film. The framing with the cinematography I thought looked quite stunning in many areas, and it looking very dreary at certain moments, especially when the movie got dark. The editing I have to mention for a bit, as there are some weird / awkward edits in between some scenes of this film where it's just a random cut that comes in at just, a scene transition, and it didn't bother me that much, but a few of them were put in there and it felt like they needed to be tweaked or redone altogether. For the music, James Newton Howard returns from composing the first film to this film, and I thought it was well done. I think the music added to the atmosphere that the Wizarding World always created, and Hedwig's theme is actually used in one moment of the film where we are taken back to Hogwarts for a brief sequence in this film, and also there's a flashback moment taking place at Hogwarts as well. And yeah, the Harry Potter fan in me got giddy with excitement when I heard that theme and saw Hogwarts be put back on the big screen again. And in speaking of all the references and Easter eggs, yeah, of course, big Harry Potter fans such as myself are going to pick up on a lot of them, whether they have to do with specific characters, objects, locations, any of that. It is loaded with a bunch of that, but at the same time, like I've mentioned before with the writing, it can get overwhelming to the point where it feels like the movie does not have much to offer in terms of story. I also find that ironic too, for all the plot threads and other details that are used within the story, not much is actually being told with the story, and that a main through line is not established, in that so many things are just put together for the sake of filling up all of the future setup that we are getting in the next 3 planned films in this prequel series. As yeah, a total of 5 Fantastic Beasts films were planned from the beginning, and I hope that there is some sense of structure and more focus with the future films. As all in all, with Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald, I think that there is a lot going on here for both its benefit and its detriment. I would say that I was never necessarily bored while watching this film, even though there are some moments that did noticeably drag. There's something in here that did have the Potter fan in me interested to see what I could uncover with all of the secrets, which, by the way, after the movie does go through its big third act, there is this really big revelation that happens, and then the movie ends abruptly, which I was like, whoa, I needed a little bit to take in from that. But yeah, there's a lot of fan service in here that a lot of die-hard Wizarding World fans, such as myself, will get into. But at the same time, too, the Potter fan in me was let down that there wasn't much else other than this movie feeling like setup and feeling so overstuffed with content that would be paid off, hopefully, with future entries. In that regard, compared to the rest of the Wizarding World film series that we've gotten so far, and this is the 10th entry, mind you, I think this is easily the weakest of all of the films, including the 8 Harry Potter movies and the previous Fantastic Beasts film. But I don't think this is a bad movie by any means. I think it has quite a bit of entertainment value with it. It's far from horrible, but it's also far from great too, which had me definitely quite conflicted when it comes to recommending this movie. As for any die-hard Wizarding World fan, you've probably already seen this movie, or if you're planning to, nothing I or others will say will prevent you from seeing it. But if you're a casual fan of this franchise, or if you have little interest in this franchise at all, I would temper your expectations accordingly, as this is a movie I would cautiously recommend. My final verdict for Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald is 3 out of 5 stars. Thank you all, as always, for watching. Be sure to like this video, comment on what you thought of Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald. Please protect the secrets as I have with this review. Subscribe to my channel for more, and I'll catch you on the next movie review.